Your car has buttons you've pressed 1,000 times without ever actually knowing what they do. Some are harmless, some can save you money, and at least one button people press the moment their car starts sliding can actually turn off the system that was trying to keep them in control. So get in the driver's seat, because you're probably using at least a few of these wrong. Start with this little button. Look down near your AC controls and you'll find a small square button with a car icon on it and a curved arrow looping around inside. That's the recirculation button, and it isn't secretly the make the AC colder button, even though that's how most people treat it. Press it and the vents stop pulling in fresh air from outside the car and start blowing the same air already inside the cabin back around in a loop. That's why it cools things down faster at first. But leave it on too long with a few people breathing in a closed-up car, and you'll start to see the windshield fog up right in front of the driver, a thin haze creeping across the glass until visibility drops on a rainy commute, and most drivers have no idea the button they pressed 20 minutes ago is the reason why. There's a second button nearby, usually marked with a car icon and two wavy skid marks behind it. Traction control. Turning that off is not the help me in snow button, even though that's exactly when most drivers reach for it. Watch what actually happens on wet or icy pavement with it left on. One tire starts to spin faster than the others, and the system quietly clamps down on that wheel until it grips again, keeping the car pointed straight. Switch it off in that same moment, and now that spinning tire just keeps spinning, faster and looser, while the car drifts wherever it wants. The one time flipping it off actually helps is a completely different picture. A car already stuck, wheels buried and spinning uselessly in snow or mud, needing to spin freely so the driver can rock it back and forth and break it loose. Automatic headlights are next, because this one has a genuine safety gap most drivers never notice. Setting that dial to auto does not mean every exterior light on the car is being handled for you. Picture a car driving through heavy rain right at dusk. Up front, the two daytime running lights are glowing bright, easy for the driver to see reflected off the wet road ahead of them. Now walk around to the back of that exact same car in that exact same moment, and the tail lights are still dark, not lit at all. A driver behind that car in the rain sees nothing back there. No red glow, no brake lights standing out, while the driver up front is fully convinced their car is lit up and visible, because the only lights they can actually see are the ones shining out in front of them. Now picture parking on a hill. You shift into park, get out, and later come back to a nasty clunk when you shift back into gear. Here's what's actually happening. The second you take your foot off the brake pedal, the car creeps forward or backward a few inches, rolling down the slope until it comes to a stop on its own, held there by a small locking part inside the transmission built specifically to catch a parked car and keep it from rolling any further. That clunk you hear later is just that same slack getting taken up again in reverse when you shift out of park. Set the parking brake before you take your foot off the brake pedal, and the car never gets the chance to creep and roll in the first place. The brakes hold its weight instead, and that clunk disappears completely. Good habit, especially on a hill. The part inside doing the holding was built to do it, but it doesn't need the extra work every single time.
Eco mode gets treated like some secret fuel-saving machine hiding inside the engine, and what it actually is turns out to be far less dramatic. Selecting it adjusts software, how sharply the throttle responds when you press the gas and when the transmission decides to shift, nudging the whole car toward driving more gently. Using eco mode in your car doesn't rewrite the laws of physics sitting inside your fuel tank, and flooring the gas in eco mode still burns exactly the same amount of fuel as flooring it anywhere else would. Here's one worth testing tonight in your own driveway. Most drivers angle their side mirrors so they can see a slice of their own car sitting in the glass. That habit creates a stretch of road on either side that neither the mirrors nor the rear view can see, the blind spot everybody complains about. Angle each mirror outward instead, just until your own car barely disappears from the edge of the glass, and that dead zone shrinks noticeably. It won't eliminate every blind spot or replace actually checking beside you before you change lanes, but it cuts down how much your mirrors overlap each other and duplicate the same view. Your rear defroster and front defrosters aren't doing the same job under two different names. The rear one is a grid of thin wires running across the glass itself, heating up and melting fog or frost directly off the window. The front one works through your regular HVAC system, blowing air across the windshield, and turning on the AC alongside the heat helps because the AC compressor pulls moisture out of the air first, clearing the fog faster than heat by itself usually can. Padded headrests built into every seat aren't just a comfortable place to rest your head on a long drive, even though that's the only job most people ever ask of them. Their real purpose is catching the back of your skull during a rear-end collision, stopping your neck from snapping backward before it gets hurt. Most drivers have them adjusted several inches too low, meaning that in an actual crash, the padding built to catch a skull ends up catching the back of a neck instead. If your car has ever kept the brakes clamped down at a long red light without your foot doing a thing, that's auto hold quietly doing its job, not a malfunction and not your imagination. It locks the brakes in place after the car comes to a complete stop, freeing your leg from holding the pedal down, then releases the instant you press the gas again. It's a completely different system from the parking brake, and it lets go the moment the car senses you're moving off, which catches people off guard if they're used to a manual parking brake expecting more resistance than auto hold ever gives them. Fog lights get treated like backup headlights for any dark or hard-to-see situation, and that's actually the wrong instinct. They're mounted low near the bumper on purpose, aimed to shine underneath the layer of fog instead of straight into it. Regular high beams do the opposite in fog. The light bounces straight off the moisture hanging in the air and reflects back into the driver's own eyes, which is how a driver can make their own visibility worse while trying to fix it.
That small icon near your dashboard showing a car pointed downhill with wavy lines underneath it is hill descent control, built for the exact moment a driver is creeping down something steep and slick without wanting to ride the brake pedal the whole way. Switch it on, and the car automatically manages a slow, steady crawl down the grade, leaving both feet free to focus entirely on steering instead of braking. Last one, and it's sitting in your pocket instead of your dashboard. Press the unlock button on your key fob once, and most cars only unlock the driver's door. Press it a second time, and every door unlocks at once. Most people never notice the difference because they're usually reaching for the handle before the second press even registers. Tomorrow morning, you'll probably climb into your car and press most of the same buttons you pressed yesterday. The difference is that now you know what at least a few of them are actually doing while your hand is on them.